Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Big Bad Bench. My name is John, aka Big Bad Biologist. I want to thank everyone for showing up today. This is my first stream after recovering from COVID, so we'll see how long we can go. And I apologize if my voice is a little bit harsh, strained, or whatever. But I have a lot of fun today. I got some Macintosh IIsi's up on the Big Bad Bench, and we're going to talk about some of the fun stuff that you have to think about when you're working on a Mac IIsi, some of the overclocking you can do, and some of the other things we need to think about with IIsi's. So let's get right to it. Okay, here we go. So first I want to say hi to One Bit Fever Dreams, Epictronics, Vic the Vicar, and Garth Beagle. How are y'all doing? Thank you all for showing up today. Love you guys. On the bench here, on the Big Bad Bench, we have a Macintosh IIsi. This IIsi first made an appearance a few weeks ago. I did a stream about some Macs that I picked up. They were mostly pizza boxes, but there was a IIsi in that lot. And at the time, that IIsi did not boot. This is actually the power supply out of my IIsi that I picked up over the summer that I had recapped in a previous stream, and the link for that stream is in the description. Oh, and Eric Helgeson and Starbuck Tech are here too. How's it going, guys? As you can see behind me with the flying toasters, this system is fully up and working now. So I never originally got this power supply tested because I didn't have a good logic board. This is good to go now. And as you can see, we have at least one fully functional IIsi. And Retro Fox is here. How's it going, Retro Fox? So with a IIsi, and so with this one, it originally didn't boot. One, because the power supply was destroyed. So the first thing you need to know when you're working on a Macintosh IIsi is that the power supply will destroy the board. And so basically all the caps that are around here originally leak, and they just like dump out the bottom of this thing. They corrode the connector, they corrode the logic board underneath of there, and they make a giant mess. And so whenever you get a Mac IIsi, definitely the first thing you got to do is pop out the power supply and check it. So this IIsi, it had a bad power supply, and I when I pulled the logic board out, it was still soaking wet. And so this logic board's been cleaned. And so when I took it back and got it all cleaned with a good power supply, it still didn't boot. And so one of the weird things, and you might notice right here, that this crystal is kind of standing up off of the board. Let's zoom in a little bit, see if we can see that a little clearer. You can see it's kind of standing up off the board, and there's a socket underneath of it. And so originally what I think happened was that at some point somebody overclocked this thing, and I'm gonna call this number 2, or Jenny's IIsi, because somebody wrote Jenny on it. Oh, and Tech Knight's here too. Oh, that reminds me, before I get too much further, this was from my last stream a couple weeks ago. This is a Mac Classic 2 logic board, and I've been fighting with this thing for like 9 months basically. And yesterday, Tech Knight helped me figure out when I was poking around with my oscilloscope, and I hit the address line 3, and it changed up what was happening. Tech Knight helped me figure out what was wrong there. Basically found out that there's a bad resistor. I'm going to show you something really embarrassing right now. I didn't have any SMT 22 ohm resistors, so I just bodged that on. But everything's working. I have ordered real 22 ohm resistors, so this thing will be all fixed up correctly now. So these battery holders are just things that I found on eBay. I think you can get them for like $1 each, if that. I think they might even be cheaper. These will actually hold 2 CR2032s, but you can have it in there so that you only need one. So these, you only need one CR2032. And it's nice because you can put there's a little switch on here that lets you say whether this is on or not. And these work fine. They're not ideal. There's some aluminum or copper things in here that are very flexible, and sometimes they don't make good connections. Let's show you what the inside of one of those things look like. So you just pop these open, and you can see there's these little tabs, and basically if you just put one CR2032 in there and make sure that all the tabs are kind of bent up like this, they'll actually make good connection, and then you can use this as a regular 2032 holder. So yeah, Mac Classic 2 is done. I'm so excited. Almost done. Gotta just fix this terrible fix that I did, but don't look at that. We're good. Okay, so that's one thing we can get off the big bed bench. Okay, so now back to this crystal jobby. So I'm gonna shut this thing down. You can hear that shut down properly, so we're getting our soft power. Alright, and so what we can see here, right, this is a precision socket that was mounted to this board well before I got it. I think Jenny did it. And the system would not boot because they'd taken the original crystal oscillator out of here, which had, legs that were trimmed, and they weren't making good contact with the precision socket. And so what I did was I soldered on some little extensions, and these are just leads from a capacitors, basically, and then pop this in here, and now this thing actually makes good contact. I'm gonna unplug this because I don't want this booting up right now. Let's get rid of our blue SCSI for the time being. Alright, let's just listen to the chime, because there's something I want you to hear here. Here. Okay, so you heard that nice chime for a regular 2SI. But one of the fun bits we can do is replace that oscillator. And so that oscillator only controls the speed for the processor, theoretically. It has something to do with the floppy, and I haven't quite figured out the wiring for all that. But basically what we can do is pop out that oscillator, take this oscillator, make sure we're lined up properly. So that was a 40 megahertz oscillator. This is a 60 megahertz oscillator. You can see that the pitch on that thing was ever so slightly different when it booted up. But you can see we're posting. Oh, we're not going to boot up. But I will tell you that this system will work totally fine. I pulled out the processor, or the blue SCSI. So this thing is totally fine. So whatever this is set to, you divide that by 2, and that's the speed of the processor. And so this thing is now running at 30 megahertz, which, we're going from 20 megahertz to 30 megahertz. That's a 50% speed increase, and it runs totally fine. Now, the problem is the floppy drive will not work when it's overclocked like that. So I don't know exactly what's going on with the timings, if it just is I don't know. But there are other reports online where you cannot overclock this thing beyond about 25 megahertz and have a functional floppy drive. Okay, so that's the basics of how to overclock these things. I want to work on my 2SI number 1 in a little bit. But there's something else that we need to check on here. So this is our battery holder for our CMOS, or what do we call it in Macs? Yeah, let's go up to 500 megahertz. The PRAM battery. Okay, and so this PRAM battery, it holds that kind of all the information and the time and stuff. Look what happens when we use this thing when it's powered on. Okay, so what this is telling me is that this thing is actually applying power to the battery. And if we hook up a regular CR2032 to this thing, we could potentially explode the 2032. You don't want to charge CR2032s. So if we're going to put a battery in this, we need to add a diode in there. And so we'll do that today on this system. The other thing we need to do first is check out some power supplies. And I want to start with that because I haven't tested these power supplies yet, and people love explosions, and I have a feeling that one of these is gonna explode. Okay, so this one is from system number 2. What I'm gonna do first, let's just move this aside. So when you first get a power supply like this and you're not totally sure if it's good or not, I have the top open just so that if it does explode, we get to see it because people love explosions. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, no explosion. Alright, so what we're gonna do is first check to see if we have our standby power, or our in Macs, I think this is called trickle power. On PCs, this would be our 5-volt standby. I think it's these two leads. Yep. So there we go. We got our 5-volt standby on this thing. So that's a good first step. Yeah, I know. People come here for the explosions, apparently. Alright, so let's get rid of this power supply out of here. So to take these out, there's 3 clips. 1 clip here, 1 clip there, and 1 clip here. And so what I do is take the butt of my tweezers and just slide it up from the bottom there. Pull up over there. So that side gets out, and then take the butt of the tweezer. And take that one out. Okay, so this one is good to go. Set that aside. Alright. And this whole thing got a vinegar soak and ultrasonic. Oh no, actually this power supply did not get an ultrasonic clean, but it got a lot of deoxide in that connector. You can still see a little bit of green, so still not perfectly clean there. So this one has been totally recapped. Actually, both of these power supplies have been totally recapped, just not tested yet. Well, you saw what we just tested, the 5-volt standby on that one. Okay. And so, yeah, if this thing were to really blow up, that's why you don't want to test it plugged in directly to your system, because if it sends something through, you don't want to destroy your logic board. Okay, so we know we got a good that, and 3, 2, 1. Okay. No magic smoke yet. And 3, 2, 1. We got chime. Alright, so that basically means that this thing's fine. What we can do is just double check our rails here. Oh, can't see what I'm doing, so I plugged in the hard drive connector. We're not going to be able to check the -12 like this, but alright, there's our 5-volt is good. 12-volt is good. Alright. And yeah, you can see behind me the system's powered up. Okay, so that power supply is good. Let me just screw on that lid before I forget. Okay, so that's one good thing. Now this power supply, I guess I could show you this movie. So let's talk about this. Let's get this one out. Again, we're just using the butt of the... Bacchus is here. How's it going, Bacchus? Bacchus. Squeeze and lift. Tab over here. Alright, so we got a... Number 2 is also a good power supply. Now this one was bad. So the bottoms of these power supplies, you can see, you know, they're all silk screen. You might notice on modern power supplies that they have a lot more lead covering all the traces. This one was so corroded that... Oh yeah, let me show you a picture. Oops. All right, so that's what this power supply looked like. Just ultra mega nasty. I mean, the buildup along the edge of this thing was just so gross, and you know, all of this kind of corrosion, all the rust down in here, all back inside the power supply. It was just one of the nastiest things I've ever seen. Sorry, I didn't take too many pictures, but yeah, this was the first time I ever put a whole power supply inside the ultrasonic cleaner. So let's go back to here. Okay, and so you can see this thing cleaned up reasonably well. There's, you know, all around here, all of these little collars, or all the connection points, were in really bad shape. There's just corrosion. And the other problem with these 2SIs is that we have this little daughter board thing. I think this is like the main VRM. One of the traces on here, you can see I have a little bodge wire. One of the traces there was so corroded it just basically fell apart. And so I had to do a little bodge. I lost 0 ohm resistor there, so I made another little bodge there. So, and the other thing, the reason that I had to ultrasonically clean this, like I did a little vinegar soak at first, but, you know, I cleaned up, you know, I used my little eraser things to clean up the solder mask and to remove the corrosion. And as soon as I hit any of these solder points with heat, the solder just ran away from the component. Like, there was so much gunk down inside these holes that it prevented the solder from sticking to anything. And so ultrasonically cleaned it. The solder stuck. You can see most of these solder joints have been reflowed. This was just a really bad thing. So I'm expecting this one to explode. I mean, this one, I don't see how you could potentially get this thing to work. So we're going to get our fire, I have a feeling, with. So I did all new caps. I wasted the money on all new caps for this thing. But yeah, here we go. Let's try this thing. So, has someone reverse engineered the daughter board? Not that I know of. You know, one of the things is that people don't really love the 2SI. You know, it's kind of a looked down upon member of the you know, the classic Macintosh family. So this is how we stick these things back together. You can push this in through first. Click, click, and then kind of line up the hole with that. Everyone hates on the 2SI, indeed. I don't know why. I mean, it's, you know, it's not the most glamorous, and it's kind of weirdly sized, but it's a competent little machine. Especially, I mean, once this thing gets overclocked, it's pretty awesome. Okay, so this thing all sits down flat. Just want to make sure it is kind of sitting flat. There are two things we need to consider. There's this little jobby, I have a feeling that's like a heat fuse or something like that. And then there's a little MOSFET. And since this one got clean, I'm going to put a little bit of thermal paste in there. Just going to squeeze a little blob in there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, I made a mess. Okay, where's our paper towel? Okay. So then there are 2 long screws here. One has a nut, one has a little bracket, and even this little bracket was all rusted up. Hit that with the wire wheel. So this one, you can see there's a bunch of weird size, or there's, all the holes are a certain size, but there's one that's weird size. This little tab goes in that weird sized one. And we just use this to pull that MOSFET over. Yeah, it's like a deep dish pizza box. Gosh. Okay, so then this other one just sits over here. There's actually a little, you can see there's a little dimple there, and you just want to make sure that that sits on top of that dimple. Okay. Oh, gotta loosen this back up. I forgot to screw down the main board. So the main board's just held in with 3 screws. Oh geez, that probably just broke that board. How's it going, Jay? Not this again. This is my first real 2SI stream. Well, I guess I did one other 2SI stream. Okay. I think it's okay. It's okay. It'll be okay, RetroFox. That's what happens when you try to work on stuff and you still got COVID brain. Okay. So those 3 are all in there. The main power connector is on this separate little thing. You can connect that up. And then this slides in down there like that. And there's a little screw that holds that one on. Okay. Y'all ready for an explosion? Yeah, so I mean, this thing had some stickers on it. It was someone actually used this. It's a shame. It has a 250 meg hard drive, and that had a sticker on it good, and it's not good. Okay, here we go. This thing. Everyone ready? I kind of don't want to touch it with more than one hand. Yeah, no. Okay. All right. I didn't do the countdown on that one. That's probably bad luck. All right, so no explosions. That's unreal. I mean, look at this thing. Look at the bodges in there. God, I'm a hack. Alright, so let's check our voltages here. Holy crap. We got our standby voltage. Holy crap. No, I don't feel tingly yet. I mean, I feel tingly, but it's for other reasons. Alright, so let's slap this thing in here. Let's see if this goes. Look at how I hit this thing with the wire wheel. You can still see all the pitting from the rust that was on the side of this. Wow. Okay, let's try it out. Alright, we're in. In 3, 2, 1. I don't know. That was kind of almost a bong. We're getting booting. Oh, I shut that off. Oof, that's not good. You got 5 volts. We do not have 12 volts. That's interesting. So it powered on. Yeah, I don't think we're quite ready with that one. Yeah, we're not getting our 12 volts there. All right, so we have kind of a working 2SI power supply. I'm not gonna put that one back in the wind pile. I am actually surprised that that thing did anything. I'm kind of in shock that it didn't explode. Yeah, who needs 12 volts? Who needs it? Alright, so... Oof. Oh, jeez. I just keep dropping stuff on this logic board. Alright, let's go back to our first power supply. Let's stick these inside. Poke around at that another day. Let's stick with our good one to get started here. Just want to check this one more time to make sure I didn't screw anything up. And that's a nice healthy chime. 5 volts. And 12 volts. Okay, so after all this, we have 2 good power supplies, 1 not so good power supplies. Okay, so let's rip out this logic board and put a new battery on there. So to take these all, to break these down, I'm gonna take this off. Take this off. Okay, that's set aside. These things, these fans, as Garth mentioned earlier, are kind of annoying. So basically, what you need to do is just squeeze it down near the bottom and just slide up. There you go. Now what we need to do is get the logic board out of here. And we're going to push this over. Push that side out. Push this over. Push that side out. And our logic board is free. So just like the LC series, these are pretty easy to take apart. Work on. Alright, so now we're going to get rid of this battery holder. And where is that battery holder? There. And there. Put a little fresh solder on there. A little fresh solder on there. So that was one of the interesting things about this particular 2SI is that someone had already recapped it with tantalums. And so Garth mentioned that sticker that was on the floppy drive, that it was cleaned in whatever, when was it cleaned? 2014. So someone had gone through and worked on this thing at some point in its history. The recap job is not the cleanest, but it's working. So I'll take it. It's less work that I need to do on this one. Alright, so I just heated those up side to side and took them off. Clean out the residual solder from those holes. You can get all the solder out of that one. Okay. So this is just a CR2032 holder that I've already added a diode to. So this is our positive lead, comes out of here, goes back to the negative side of the diode. The positive side is over here. And now we need to come over here, get rid of this extra solder that was on here. So this thing was actually in a Classic 2, but you don't need a diode in a Classic 2, so I'm reusing some extra work that I did. So there we go. Our positive here, the stripe on the diode. This diode is way overkill for this kind of thing, but it works fine. Okay. Alright, oh, and that just fell out. So you shouldn't need to do it in an SE. I've been meaning to sort of do a video and to show which ones. I mean, adding a diode will not hurt anything, but for most of these systems, you just don't need one. Okay. Just put a little dab of solder right there. Alrighty, so that should be good to go on this thing. So the main reason that, and you know, a lot of people say you don't need batteries on these things, but the main reason I like to have batteries is, like, if I have multiple operating systems on these and I'm booting from a certain one, like, you know, when you have a blue SCSI, there's a lot of space there for different operating systems and stuff, and so if you have the wrong one boot up because you don't have a battery installed, then it's just kind of annoying. Alright, so there's our logic board going back in. Just make sure that your logic board's down below these little tabs, and then slide very straightforward. Floppy drive. Here's our fan. Gonna stick that in there. So again, Trina's Technobabbles here. How's it going, Trina? So this, we're just gonna slide this in between these little tabs here, and then just come down, and there you go. Our fan is attached and happy, hopefully. Let's put the right power supply with this system. Okay. So we got a battery, we got RAM, we got a blue SCSI. And Mac IIsi is here. How's it going, Steve? So, I bought some brackets from Potato Fi. I was hoping they would come in before this, but I'm looking forward to see if those brackets, they're made for LCs. I'm wondering if they're going to work for the 2SI. I will update you all once I find that out. Alright, so we got our blue SCSI, we got memory, we got a CMOS battery, PRAM battery, whatever you want to call it. It's in there. Alright. This should... We don't need to count down, right? Alright, we're happy. Alright, so I'm going to let this boot up. And we'll set our time and then unplug this thing. Cool. Is Jeremy here too? Oh, and Jeremy's here too. Man, everyone's here. It's awesome to have you all. Thank you all for being here. This is so incredible. I was worried that the internet would have forgotten me because I haven't been streaming nearly as religiously as I should be. Okay, so this thing's going to boot up, and I'm going to let it boot up. I want to show you a little movie. Well, I don't know if we'll do the whole movie. Thank you, Starbuck. Thank you, Jason, for reminding. Hit that like button. And Justin D. Morgan is here lurking in the shadows, probably because he's got his googly eyes on. Man, come on, I've been entertaining you, remember. Alright, so 2SI1 was one I bought last summer. 2SI2 I bought it in December. And I bought another 2SI off of eBay recently because I wanted a riser. Okay, and so, you know, the 2SI needed a little riser adapter. And so none of the 2SIs that I none of the two, where's my hat? Come on, you don't like this giant shiny thing up here? So the one I bought off of eBay had a riser in it. But this one on eBay, we're going to call that one number 3. This thing was in bad shape. So let me show you. I recorded a little movie when I was taking this thing apart. I won't make you sit through the whole thing, but let's go through this. So you can see this one's a little bit yellowed. Let me know if that audio is coming through from that. It shouldn't be, but so this was the one I bought on eBay, and look at this thing when we pop this open. Look at the inside of that one. Look at the inside of that. Okay, the seller was nice enough to take the battery and stick it in a bag. Bonus points if you can tell me what kind of bag that was. Let's rewind so you can focus on that bag. Who knows what kind of bag that was from? Look at this. Look at that mess in there. Look at that. That is one of the worst things. So this was power supply number 3, the one that didn't give us 12 volts that we just tried out. All right, so yeah, so I'm gonna let that go. He's he's dead, Jim. Look at the bottom of this thing. It'll buff right out. Look at the rust on that. Oh my god, this is giving me nightmares looking at it again. I was the one that recorded it. All right, what else do we got in here? I didn't take that power supply apart, but I showed you pictures of this power supply. This was the power supply that was just straight up terrible. Bacchus, yeah, I probably should have been wearing gloves. Um, so yeah, basically this was welded. This took a lot of force to take off. There it goes. It came off. So yeah, this thing was bad. Yeah, you can see the rust that had all leaked out of there. So yeah, that was not a good thing. So I will say you know I paid basically $50 for this after shipping. So to me it was worth it because I have not been able to find a riser card. Um, so yeah, let's see if I pull this out. I really wanted the darn riser card. What can I say? Yeah, how much of the damage was on? Look at the battery or the speaker and everything. What is the time? 12:43. Okay. Yeah. How much did you pay for your riser card, Retro Fox? All right, so that was that board, and that was power supply number 3 that we tested earlier. But this is the riser card, and I gave it a quick little vinegar bath, and it's basically good to go. So this is one of the reasons that the riser card is nice. Um, you can see we got our 68882 coprocessor on here, so we can get some math action. Oh, you had a $10 one? Are you kidding me? But it also gives us the ability to add a new bus card in there. This does need a little bit of a recap. There was one electrolytic. So let's do that. So this thing has booted up. I've updated the time. So we're going to shut this thing down and unplug it, and let's see if it holds the time for us when we come back. Oh, the other nice thing that I got out of that is this Mac VGA adapter. It's always useful to have one of those. So, the riser was $10, the VGA adapter's $5. I almost have all my money back now. All right, so let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Oh, yeah, let me show you something else. Okay. So, this is the current state of that board. So it got some cleaning with the eraser. I ran it through the ultrasonic cleaner, and I've started doing some of the trace repair on this. So yeah, I took off the processor, took off the chipset, and I'm working slowly to try to recover it. The number of traces that are destroyed are not as bad as I would have thought. The thing that I think is going to potentially kill this board is that a lot of the vias are shot. And let's go under the microscope. Oh, one of the fun bits is when I took the board out of the ultrasonic cleaner, a bunch of the components had fallen off, including a cap. The power switch I took off myself. So yeah, it's missing a bunch of stuff. So then this is the other thing that hit me in the feels a little bit when I opened up that 2SI off of from eBay. So the seller wrote me a note. This has been my favorite Apple computer. I hope its parts come back to serve you well. Happy holidays to you and yours. It's like, oh, now this makes me want to actually restore this thing. So yeah, I'm kind of nuts, but I think I'm gonna try to restore this to the best of my abilities. But we have some other stuff to look at too. But let me throw a cap on this thing because I really want to see if I can get this riser working. Let's go to the microscope. Microscope. Alright, so you can see there's a little bit of corrosion on there, but it wasn't too bad. Oh, everything is broken garages here. So yeah, I think this one's going to take a little bit too long for me to do on streams, but I will definitely provide updates. Alright, so there's our cap. That's where our cap should go, I mean. So this is a 47 microfarad, 16 volts capacitor. It was an electrolytic. We're going to replace it with a tantalum, as I prefer to use tantalums on these jobs. Okay, tantalums, stripe equals plus. Add a little bit of solder to this thing. Oh, which is better, the LC3 or the 2SI? That is an interesting question. So, I mean, if it were me, I would say LC3 just because I really like the shape of the LC3. The size, the whole pizza box form factor is something I really love. Okay. The LC475 is obviously better than all of them, Garth, but that doesn't count. That's a different price range. Oh, everything was broken garage. I knew you were in Canada. I didn't know what side of the country you were on. Alright, so let's go back to our main scene. We got our riser card. Now recapped, should be fully functional. Let's pop this open. Okay, so this thing, there's a big metal bracket around there, and the riser card is held on with these plastic screws. Slide that up in there. Now, obviously, you don't want to use too much force when you're screwing in plastic screws. Yeah, there are some things you need to be careful of when you're working on removing the caps in your LC475. I do recommend getting those caps off of that LC475 as quickly as humanly possible, because we don't want. I've seen some major damage on LC475s due to their caps. I will be doing one of them. I don't know when I'll get a chance to get to that one, but it will happen at some point. I did do a couple of LC475 triages in that video that's linked in the description here. Okay. So that fits in there. Let's see if this thing boots with that in there. Yeah, the thing is, the LC475 is such a nice, fast little system that you don't want to mess around with it. And a lot of these just kind of be like, you don't really need to recap it every way immediately. Oh, we got a sad Mac. Sad Mac. All right. Let's get rid of this. Let's go back to stock. So it's kind of hard to, I don't know if I can show that on camera or not, but there's a 40 megahertz oscillator here. That's a 20 megahertz chip, so it's probably the same thing. So I'm wondering if overclocking this beast is going to prevent that from working. Yep. Alright, so that is something to know when you're overclocking your 2SI and you have a riser card in. You might have issues with your, the riser card might not get along with overclocking well. Let's see, what have I missed? Yeah, the SE30, another one of those systems that, they're so nice and highly sought after that you don't want to mess around with them. So decap them, even if you don't go back and cap them right away. Just get the caps off of that thing, just to prevent it from getting further damage. The 2SI and the LC3. I have a soft spot in my soul for LC3 since that was the first system I basically did a stream about. It was sort of the kickoff to my channel, so I'm always gonna love an LC3 more than most other systems. But the 2SI, it's different, right? We got 30 pin sims. There's no socket for the math coprocessor on the board. You need the riser card in order to get the math coprocessor. So if you have a bunch of 4 meg 30 pin sims, it's nice to have around. Theoretically, if you have the right 30 pin sims, you can put you can put 16 meg sims in there. Mine do not work in here. I have those in my 2CI. they would not work in this system. But yeah, the power supplies and the LCs tend to need to be recapped. The main problem with those is the electrolytics on the logic boards. Those will leak and they will destroy your logic board. Okay, so let's go to here. All right, so let's see what we got here. Apple Personal Diagnostics. You know, like, I'm not a person that advocates just recapping everything. Like, I have a ton of SEs that, you know, SEs are fine. The pluses are fine. You know, there are certain caps that will die, and it's time to replace them. But generally, the caps on those are really high quality. They don't need much work. Okay, so 68020 or 68030 at 20 megahertz, so we're not overclocked right now. We got our coprocessor installed. So that's saying that our riser is working, which is kind of awesome. Yeah, cool. All right, what am I missing out on over here? So should we do a little bit of a diagnostic test real quick? Get rid of that. So these are fun in that, you know, that you can futz around with them and... You know. Ooh. All right, got our video RAM. Ooh, that's going to take a while. Let's see, what else do we got to work on today? Okay, so let's... Oh yeah, so I'll show you a couple other things. So I have some video cards that I've been wanting to try out, which is one of the reasons I wanted this riser. I also have another video card and another video card. So maybe we'll do these today. We'll see. I have a network card that is driving me nuts because the software is available, but it's asking for some additional floppy that I don't have, and that's kind of annoying. Okay, so we're gonna sit this one on here. Okay, so this is my LC3. So this is LC3, or yeah, I got all my numbers confused. So this is 2SI number 1. This is my system. And so this system was, I first recapped the power supply, and it didn't work. And so I started poking around with that thing, and something weird was going on, and the CPU was getting really hot. And so I was like, well, I don't know what's going on there, so let's just take the board out and put it in the ultrasonic cleaner. So I put the board in the ultrasonic cleaner, and I came out, and I took it out, and when it came out, the CPU was no longer getting hot. And I was like, okay, cool, well, that's good. Well, it turns out that nothing was happening. The board was just totally dead. And so there was something in the system where the CPU just straight up died. And so on one of Dave's streams, and I'm sorry I don't have the link, I forget which one it was, I popped the CPU off and replaced it, and it suddenly worked. The system worked. So that was telling me that the CPU was bad in that system. And so now this one is fully functional. But the CPU I replaced it with, I don't know if that's going to show up on camera. No. You won't be able to see this. But this is a 33... Oh. We're doing loop tests. We don't want to do loop tests. Stop. Okay. Alright, so our logic board is good. Let's run Snooper. Logic tests. I really want to do math coprocessor test on this one. Alright. Shut that off. Let's do this. Okay, we're going to set this aside and work on this logic board number 1. Alright, so again, this is a 33 megahertz CPU that's being restricted to only run at 20 megahertz. So let's put a thing in there. We'll put a socket on there and try to do some overclocking. I'm interested to see how quick that thing will go. Alright, so let's switch to our microscope. And, oh yeah, there's our 4 pins for that socket, or for that oscillator. Gonna hit that with some fresh solder. Again, I don't have a good solder removal thingy, so I'm using the old school solder pult. And get some of these. Just gonna hit this. Loose. Just want to make sure these are loose before I try removing it. It's loose. That one's very loose. Okay. Let's go back to here. Alright, so what we're going to do now is hit that with the solder, or the hot air station. Remove that all the way. Kind of moved a little bit, but yeah, it looks like 3 of our leads are good. Okay, we're going to use 380 degrees, 80% flow. Oh, guess we could zoom in a little bit here, make this easier to see. There we go. Wow. This thing's ugly. This board did have a bunch of corrosion on it and spent its time in a little bit of a bath. So you can see the pins on here, since they were pushed through and then trimmed. These would not hold in well to a turn pin socket. And so these are dip 14 sockets. Yeah. But we don't actually want all these pins. So we're going to get rid of some of them. We're going to keep the main 4. Okay, some of those are gone. That's gone. Yeah, I used to have like zip drives and external drives, and once I got the blue SCSI, it's like everything got so much easier. You just put you take your SD card out, you put it in your virtual machine, and you're good to go to transfer things. Okay, so you can see we've now converted our DIP 14 into a DIP 14 that doesn't have most of its sockets, most of its pins. That goes down in there. Okay. Go. We can do this with this. Jay Graham, how's it going? Yes, Blue SCSI is freaking awesome. Thank you, Eric, for creating it. I know I wouldn't be having as much fun working on Macs if it weren't for Blue SCSI. Push that up there, make sure we're set all the way against the board. Push up, make sure we're set up against the board. Ow, yep, that was hot. Okay. Alrighty. So there you go. We've got a regular dip socket into where this crystal oscillator should go. Want to clean up residual solder off of there. Hey, Will's here. How's it going, Will? Alright, so let's stick the original crystal back on here. And make sure we didn't screw anything up too bad. Using a regular dual wipe should be a lot more forgiving than the precision sockets like what's on the other board. Oh geez. Oh geez. What's going on? Okay. That's what you get for taking on an Apple III, Will. know I'm not that crazy yet. Alright, so let's see. Let's check in on our other 2SI. Oh, let's finish putting this one together first. Put that in there. This was a good one. Seem to have lost the fan for that one, but it's around somewhere. Okay, so that's ready. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Sorry. Okay, so this thing is still cranking along. We'll come back and do some more testing on that later, but it was good that nothing popped up as being terrible right away. Oh. Oops. That. Okay. So what we have here is stock crystal. This should just boot up right. Oh, there's the fan. Yeah, sometimes I'm an idiot. Most of the time I'm an idiot. Okay, here we go. Chime. Good to go. See if we get stuff on screen. Oh, I don't have my blue SCSI connected. Okay, so let's skip that. We know this works with the stock crystal. So let's pull out this crystal. And we know that our other one booted with the 60 megahertz crystal, which should bring our processor up to 30 megahertz. So let's check to make sure this one does that too. And let's plug in our blue SCSI so that we can verify that it's actually running at 30 megahertz. Okay, got chime. So other crystals that I have here are 66 megahertz and 80 megahertz. So we'll be able to test hopefully 33 megahertz and 40 megahertz. So I just want to give a shout out to Epictronics because I stole this idea from him. So you can use these shorter crystals the same exact way that you would use the bigger ones. Just solder on an extension, use a lead from a capacitor or what have you, and you can put these on into the bigger sockets. So yeah, it looks like a face hugger. Okay, so this thing booted. Let's go into Apple Personal Diagnostics. Oh, you can't see this because I'm not there. And we'll go to System Info. Okay, 68030 at 30 megahertz. So you can see that we're working fine at 30 megahertz. Well, we'd have to do some additional testing, but let's see what happens. When we crank this up 66 megahertz, which will bring us at the 33. which is the real speed of this processor, so it theoretically should work. Whoa! No, it doesn't like that one. Yeah, it doesn't want 33. Alright, so that something's got to be screwing up the timing with other stuff. Let's try this 80 megahertz just to see for poops and giggles. Yeah. Alright, that one's not doing nothing. Nope. Well, so CMOS Mac Hard Rock. Yes. Alright, so let's put our 30 back in, or well, our 60 megahertz crystal, which will give us 30 megahertz CPU speed. So I haven't restored the floppy drive for this one yet. I was too focused on other things, but yeah, I need to fix the floppy drive for this one. Mount the blue SCSI in a real adapter. But again, this system, this LC3 was non-functional when I got it. Again, this one got a CPU swap, and that seemed to cure it once I did the power supply. Again, 2SIs, first thing you need to do is recap those power supplies because they are a mess. Let's see, where's my... So this one, Trina, you know I can't promise that. I do cool stuff incessantly. So this system was one that I actually did retro bright. It's a little dusty from sitting in the lab for a while. It's not a perfect system by any means, but it's solid. You can see there's some marks in the plastic and stuff like that. There also was paint overspray all over this thing. You can still... Oops, I just did something bad. Oh yeah, you can see there's still some overspray marks there. But for the most part, this one looks good enough. Yeah, I think there are mods that let you change how the chime sounds. Just to give you a relative size comparison between these systems, right? So the 2CI versus the 2SI. A little bit thinner. Yeah, both of these cases have been retro brighted. I don't know. The 2SI though, it's just, you get the nice little, curved front. 2CI though, it just seems like a beast, right? You get this nice square. It's like, you know, you're picturing it on the desk of somebody in what was the movie where they had the nice quadras on their bench? Jurassic Park. I don't know. This is my favorite. Like, this is a tank. I love this thing to death. I mean, I'm always gonna have a soft spot for my LC3, but the 2CI is such a beast. Yeah, so the 2CI, you don't need the riser card in order to use cards. But for some reason, my brain wasn't working. And I thought, hey, I need to test these cards out, so I need the riser for the 2SI. Yeah, I didn't need that at all, did I? Well, anyway. All right. So one thing I'd like to do before I finish today is I'd like to try out this riser with one of those video cards. So I don't know. I haven't done my homework on my Apple display cards yet. I haven't needed to up until this point because all the computers I've worked on have built-in video. But I have a Mac 2 and a Mac 2X that I need to restore at some point. And so I need some video cards for those. So if anyone knows anything about these video cards, if it's a good one, if it's a crappy one, feel free to let me know. So we put that in there. It's still longer than most modern GPUs. That's a good point. Okay, that's in there like that. Do we really need to put these screws in? Maybe. Let's do it. It's a little saggy. Oh, you missed the hard rock stylings of a way overclocked Macintosh 2SI. That was a fail. So effectively, we can get like 30 megahertz out of our 2SIs. I would have liked to have gotten more, but we'll do what we can. Cool. Thank you for the info. I guess, yeah, it would be fun to do some benchmarking on the graphics. I didn't even consider doing that. Let's see here. Looking for a VGA extension cable. Sorry, folks. Ugh. Should have had this ready to go beforehand. Sorry. This goes in there like that. Alright, let's see if we can get two monitors hooked up to a 2SI. Okay. Got nothing on. Oh, wait. Here we go. Yeah! Two monitors. We are living. This is high tech. Oh, that looks like black and white. Pea soup. Yeesh. What do you think, One Bit? You're my expert on everything physics and Canada. What's your opinion on Canadian pea soup, and what makes it different from regular like split pea soup? Oh, oh, you can't see. Let's see. Eh. Eh. There you go. You can see one screen. Monitors. I'm excited that we got something on this screen at least. Oh, Trina, that's true. Sometimes I forget you're Canadian. Whoa, millions of colors? Are you kidding? Neat. Look at that. Look at that gradient. Ooh. That's fancy. What kind of options? Oh, okay. Alright. Well, we're probably restricted by resolution on here because of my adapter settings. Neat. Let's see. What is Snooper? All right. Well, one of the good things about this is that it shows that the riser is good. So not only are we getting the math coprocessor, we're also getting a functional new bus adapter. So I'm really excited about this. Yeah, I know, Garth. I don't have a keyboard attached right now. Go on to our big one. Yep, seeing it as a Macintosh display card. Cool. The other thing is this system was unplugged, and it kept the time, so that shows that our CMOS battery mod here worked. All right. I guess I'm gonna have to change things up. One bit, you're still gonna be my go-to on physics stuff, but Trina, I'll make you my go-to for Canada consultations. All right. Well, I think I'm gonna end this today, or this here right. Blah 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 blah. I think I'm gonna end today's stream. That's what I want to say. My voice is starting to go a little bit. I want to thank you all for showing up. I really appreciate it. Everything is Broken Garage, One Bit Fever Dreams, Garth Beagle, Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack, Jay Graham, Trina's Tetra. Oh gosh, see, Trina's Techno Babble. Vic the Vicar. Who else am I missing? Justin D. Morgan. Retro Fox. Jay Graham, did I see you? Not yet. Mac 84. K-Mac Vintage. Man, there were so many people here. Eric Helgeson was here. Epictronics was here. I really apologize if I'm missing anyone, but I thank you all for stopping by. Trina, are you going to stream next? You always like to stream Saturday afternoons. You probably have some hundreds of projects to work on. But yeah, thank you everyone for showing up. This was a lot of fun. Got a lot of work done on these two SIs. I'll probably be back next weekend. Maybe I'll do a recap on an LC, an LC2, and an LC3 all in one shot. Let's see if we can do it all now. Dan is streaming now. Okay, well there we go. An hour and a half is about all I have in me, especially today. But yeah, thank you all. Thank you for everyone that's gotten subscribed. Please get subscribed. When I hit 512 subscribers, I'm going to give away another Macintosh LC3. So make sure to tell your friends, get subscribed, and have an awesome day, you all. Thank you for showing up. Appreciate it.